What if I told you that your computer actually starts working before Windows even exists? What if I told you that one wrong setting in a hidden menu could stop your computer from booting completely? Most people use computers every single day, but very few truly understand what happens behind the scenes. And if you stay until the end of this video, you'll be ahead of most users that I end this video. I'm going to explain BIOS from zero to a full, clear understanding that in complicated language, no confusing explanations. Everything will be explained in a simple and practical way. If you enjoy clear and useful tech tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing really helps the channel grow and lets me create more in-depth videos like this one. Now, let's start out. BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System. IT is a small but extremely important program stored directly on your motherboard. Not on your hard drive, not on your SSD, and not inside Windows. This is why the BIOS works. Even if Windows is not installed, your storage drive is empty, or your operating system is completely broken. When you press the power button on your computer, Windows does not start first. The BIOS starts first. Always. The first thing the BIOS does is check your hardware. This process is called post, which stands for Power On Self-Test. During post, the BIOS checks critical components such as the CPU, the RAM, the graphics system, connected keyboards, and storage devices. If a critical component is missing or not working, the system may show an error message, produce beep sounds, or fail to boot. After checking the hardware, the BIOS initializes everything. This means it prepares the hardware so the operating system can communicate with it properly. Next, the BIOS searches for a bootable device. This could be an SSD, a hard drive, a USB flash drive, or a DVD. Once the BIOS finds a valid boot device, it hands control over to the operating system. At that moment, Windows finally begins to load. Without BIOS, your computer cannot function at all. Now let's clear up a very common confusion. BIOS versus UEFI. Traditional BIOS is the older system that has existed for many years. UEFI stands for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, and it is the modern replacement. UEFI performs the same basic tasks as BIOS, but faster and more efficiently. For example, UEFI supports newer hardware better. UEFI has a graphical interface and mouse support. UEFI supports very large hard drives, and UEFI boots faster. Even though modern systems use UEFI, most people still call it BIOS, and that's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about how to enter the BIOS. To enter BIOS, you must press a specific key immediately after turning on your computer. Timing is very important. Common BIOS keys include delete, F2, F10, F12, and escape. The correct key depends on your motherboard or laptop brand. If you miss the timing, Windows will load normally, and you'll need to restart and try again. Once you enter the BIOS menu, you may see a screen that looks intimidating, but don't worry, it's simply a settings menu for your hardware. Now let's go through the most important BIOS settings you should understand. Point 1. The most important settings is boot order, also called boot priority. Boot order determines which device the BIOS checks first when starting the computer. For example, setting your SSD as the first boot device allows Windows to load faster. If a USB device is set first, the system will attempt to boot from USB. This setting is essential when installing Windows or Linux. Another important feature is Secure Boot. Secure Boot is a security feature that allows only trusted software to run during startup. This helps protect your system from malicious software that tries to load before Windows. Sometimes Secure Boot must be disabled when installing older operating systems or using specific boot tools. Next, let's talk about virtualization. Virtualization allows your CPU to run virtual machines. This feature is required for software such as VirtualBox, VMware, and Android emulators. If virtualization is disabled in BIOS, these programs may not work correctly. Another common setting is XMP, also known as a memory profile. By default, RAM often runs at a lower speed than advertised. Enabling XMP allows your memory to operate at its intended speed, improving performance. Now let's talk about hardware monitoring. Inside the BIOS, you can check CPU temperature, fan speed, and voltage levels. This helps you detect overheating or hardware issues early. Some BIOS menus also allow you to control fan speed, balancing cooling and noise. Now an important warning. The BIOS is powerful. Changing the wrong setting can prevent your computer from booting or cause instability that if you do not understand a setting, do not change it. Always remember, read carefully, change one thing at a time, and save only when you are sure. Most BIOS menus give you two exit options: save changes and exit, or exit without saving, that if you are unsure. Always choose exit without saving. Now let's briefly talk about BIOS updates. Updating the BIOS can improve compatibility, fix bugs, and support new hardware. However, a failed BIOS update can permanently damage your motherboard. Only update BIOS if it is necessary and you fully understand the process. To summarize everything, BIOS is the foundation of your computer. IT runs before Windows, checks your hardware, and starts the operating system. Understanding BIOS helps you troubleshoot problems, install operating systems, and unlock advanced features safely. If this video helped you understand BIOS better, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more detailed tech tutorials like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.